Hey Rasmanites, 25 days of Christmas, day 9. Man, we're flying through this thing, aren't we? Day 9 already. And I hope I'm helping you guys. If nothing else, if you're not that entertained by these, at least you're keeping track of how many days are left till Christmas. No, I'm kidding. I really hope you're entertained, otherwise you would not be watching this episode. But yeah, as I mentioned yesterday, it was a day giveaway with what yesterday's was. Day 9 is Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. Now, this one is an interesting one to talk about because opinions on this are like completely split. You either love this film or you hate this film, unless you're me. See, because for me, I love this film. I think the acting is great. I think the point that they were trying to make with the Duncan's toy chest and the relationship with the bird lady, who I don't think she was ever named in the film. I've seen it several times and her name just doesn't pop out of me. I just watched it 2 days ago actually, and I can't remember her ever having a name. But yeah, so I really like the acting and the relationships in this. But I can totally see what people say when they say that this was exactly like the first one. Because there's no change in plot whatsoever other than the fact that Kevin gets lost in New York. He ends up in New York and therefore gets lost in New York rather than being left at home. It's the exact same two villains, and Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern playing Marvin Harry. They just renamed themselves the Sticky Bandits, and it's the same film. That's why I really despise the direct to DVD, video, whatever you want to call it, sequels of 3 and 4. Because he didn't even have the same actors and actresses involved in the film. But I do think that this story, I think if people look at the story and the acting and Tim Curry's character, I think there is a lot here for this film. So for me, if I had to rate this film, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. Because I think that there's a great story here. I think its problem is it just is way too similar to the first story. But I think what Kevin does for the orphanage, that is my favorite part about this. I mean, he gets what he wants. He gets his own vacation. He's lost in New York, and then he realizes, of course, because he's lost, it wasn't what he wanted. And I think instead of defending his own home, I think the story in this is much better because he actually realizes the true meaning of Christmas. And it's not about yourself and your own happiness or your own wants and needs. It's about doing what's right for others. And I love how he brings the bird lady out of her shell and makes her a better person. And I really, really love when he meets Mr. Duncan and Mr. Duncan has that impact on him, and then he goes and stops the robbery of Duncan's toy chest, not for himself, but because he says it in the film. You can mess with a lot of things, but you don't mess with kids on Christmas. And that is my favorite part of Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. And of course, John Hughes and Chris Columbus once again make a great team. And this Chris Columbus is the guy when it comes to kids and directing younger actors and actresses. And I think there is absolutely no coincidence, and sorry for Toby in the background if you can hear him, but I think there's absolutely no coincidence that several years later, Chris Columbus was the guy that David Heyman and J.K. Rowling and all of the people involved at Warner Brothers with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets hired him to bring that world to life in the first 2 years when that trio and all of the sub actors and everybody in the Harry Potter world had so much to learn as actors and actresses on screen. And you're going to hear a repeat of that whenever I finally get around to doing the Harry Potter film versus book series. I'm just waiting to get either the Ultimate Editions or, in a perfect world, the Wizards collection. But yeah, I just had to bring that correlation in for me because I think that every time I see both of these films now, I think of Harry Potter because of how much of a love and a true being. I was trying to find the right word for it, but a true being. My true self as a film lover has everything to do with the Harry Potter franchise now, and so I almost associate Home Alone 1 and 2 with Harry Potter because of Chris Columbus. So, as the transfer on the film, is actually much better because the film stock was much better. There was only one spot that I think I ever saw edge enhancement on, and it was in the weirdest place that you would ever think you would see it. It was on the bridge when Kevin is on the bridge in New York City in the taxi cab and he's looking around at the scenery of New York. That was the only spot I ever noticed anything kind of iffy with this. So this one definitely has a better transfer, but it wasn't because they did a horrible job with Home Alone 1. Like I said with Home Alone, it was a case of trying to clean up elements that weren't bad, not ruining the film as the case goes everywhere. Sorry about that. Not ruining the film with a bunch of stuff that they didn't need to do with it. So, yeah, there's that. Unfortunately, there's no special features to talk about whatsoever except the trailer, the theatrical trailer for Home Alone 1 and 2, and the trailer for the made for DVD/video Home Alone 3. Home Alone 4 wasn't even out yet at the time that this Blu-ray was made. So I was really disappointed with that because they did such a good job at reproducing Home Alone 1 from its VHS release for a DVD and then later on a Blu-ray release. I was really hoping that they would go back and tell some of the behind the scenes of this one, but I think the studio probably just didn't put the time and the effort into it because this one isn't as fondly remembered as the first for a lot of people. So, yeah, that's Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Review-wise, as far as my memories of this film, this was another one that I saw in the cinema, and I really, really enjoyed it, and it's one of my mom's favorites. I think she likes this one a little bit more than the first one, just because the thing that she laughs at the most is one of the things I laugh at the most, where Buzz is messing with Kevin and lights up his ears and plays drums with the candles. That is one of the better scenes in the film in the very beginning. So yeah, as far as what I think about now, I've already explained that, so I think I'm done. As always, this program and channel is sponsored by Handi Enterprises Inc., your productivity and communication specialist. All company contact information is down below in the description box. Make sure that you leave me your thoughts and memories down below as well. And this is reality according to the Razman and Razman style. It's not just a catchphrase, but a way of life.